Hi, my name is Amos. I'm from class E1G242, and this is my Engineering Mathematics 1 assignment. Okay, so firstly, for question 1, this is the formula that I use. So I add the x squared value, which is 25, plus the b times x value, which is 4 times minus 5, plus c, the c value, which is 4. So I get 9. And I did the same throughout the rows to have the values so that I could plot the graph in question 2. So in question 2, I have the yx squared graph, y equals to x squared graph, and the y equals to x squared plus b squared plus c graph. So as you can see, I just sub in the values of the respective graph. So the y equals to x squared, I just sub in these values over here, and for the y equals to x squared plus bx plus c values, I just sub in the values from here. Okay, so moving on to question 3, the discriminant. So the numerical discriminant, I use the formula b squared minus 4ac, a being 1, b now being 4, and c being 4. So this is the formula I use, as you can see up here. It's Excel formula. And for the solutions, I use the general formula, minus b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And for the discriminant, I just use the cell value in this, and just sub it into the formula in this. So as you can see up here, so for the solution x1, I use plus square root, then the discriminant. Then for the x2 value, I use minus square root over the discriminant. So moving on to question 4. Question 4 is how the b and c value affects the graph. So we start off with b. So the b value affects the slope of the graph, or when the graph cuts the y-axis. So as we can see, okay, so now the graph cuts at 4, because now the c value is 4, so the c affects. So when you sub x equals to 0, y equals to 4. So now let's say if I were to make it, let's say I were to decrease it, let's say I'm going to put it to 0. See, now the maximum point, the minimum point, sorry, my bad, the minimum point is now at the at where the graph cuts the y-axis. So the minimum point is at 4. So the b value affects the slope at which the y-axis is cut. So now if b is 0, then the minimum point, sorry, is now at 4. So let's change it back to 3. Okay, sorry, let's change it back to 4. Okay, so the c value now affects how high or low the graph is. So it shifts the graphs up and down. So if I were to put 10, so the graph is now higher, so it shifts upwards. And if I were to put, let's say, minus 5, it will shift downwards. So now it's below the x-axis. So let's put it back at 4. Okay, so now moving on to question 5. So question 5 is talking about discriminant. So basically the discriminant is there's 3 outcomes to the discriminant. So it's either more than 0, less than 0, or equals to 0. So right now it's set for equals to 0. So when the discriminant is equals to 0, there's only one real solution, which is minus 4, as we can see here. So it's the same, x1 and x2 is the same. So there's only one solution. And we can see in the graph also, because you can see the graph is it's just touching the x-axis at one point. So let's say I will move it, let's say minus 4 now. So now the discriminant is more than 0, so it cuts the axis at 2 points. So there is 2 real and distinct solutions. So if I were to change the values now, let's say to 10, the graph is now above the x-axis and it's not touching or cutting the x-axis. So there is no real solutions. So as you can see, there's an error in the calculations. So that's it for my Engineering Mathematics 1 assignment. I hope, thank you for listening, and bye-bye!